Okay. Hey, you guys. It's your girl Danielle. I hope everyone's doing well. So, you see the title and you see the thumbnail. And I wanted to jump on here real quick and just kind of give my 3 cents on the first day of the actual trial as it pertains to Nicholas Cruz. So, for those of you who have been following the case or following the live videos, I think that many of you will agree that a lot of the videos that Law and Crime has been putting up on their channel pertaining this trial has been buffer videos, not real content, a lot of motions and stuff that really usually is done when no cameras are viewed are available. They've been recording stuff like literal camera testing. So I'm really happy to know that today actually is the beginning of this this trial for his sentencing, and the state opened up with their opening arguments. It was really hard to listen to for two reasons. Not just because of the retelling of the events that took place on February the 14th in 2018, but also the attorney who was presenting the opening statements seemed very distracted. He was kind of losing train of thought at time, and I just felt like the families, in my opinion, they deserved better, especially as he was detailing very intimate details of how their loved ones died, how their children died. I just felt like they deserved someone who was more focused, more streamlined in their opening statement, and that didn't become distracted. That's just how I felt. That wasn't stumbling over words and things of that nature. While I do understand that in some instances that could be perceived as, being overwhelmed by the emotions of what is being shared, but for me, I need to see the attorneys be strong, and even in the most horrific levels of having to describe what took place that day, this is the moment when they need to be strong for those families. And I just kind of felt like the attorney who provided the opening statement kind of was just failing the families in that respect. That's just my opinion. They got right to it, calling a few of the students who were there. There were some students who actually took videos of what they could of this incident as it was taking place, and they didn't show that. Clearly they're not going to be showing that stuff on YouTube or even in the court. Well, they're showing it in the courtroom, but we won't be able to see it. The jurors can see it, but we won't be able to see it. As well are the people in the actual courtroom. They can see it. So the families and the loved ones are reliving this as it's happening, while the defendant, Nicholas Cruz, sits over at the table, moments putting his head down, having what would appear to be some type of remorseful reaction to having to hear video replayed of the tragic and horrific things that he incited. So it was at that moment when I thought to myself, that there ought to be something in place where in certain cases, I understand people's rights and everything, but in certain situations there should be some type of law in place where the defendants are probably watching from virtual, from a confined area through Zoom. That way, when you have these type of cases where it is so sensitive and the nature of the crime is so horrendous that you, in a sense, in my opinion, you show an extended amount of mercy to the loved ones and the families who are there listening to this. And then to me, I would imagine it's a whole different type of vibe to actually see the person who is responsible for taking your child out of this world for no reason whatsoever and no fault of their own. I just think it shows a level of mercy. I would imagine it might take some of the sting out of it if they weren't in the courtroom. Still via Zoom, where their rights are being upheld. But yeah, just not in the physical courtroom. Especially in this particular case where this defendant made videos informing people that he was about to be the next massive shooter, school shooter, and that he was looking forward to it. And that is part of, and I saw the video when this first all came out and they were starting to unpack stuff that they and evidence that they had. And I saw it, and this was someone who was very clear on what they were doing, is very premeditated, very much aware that they were planning every step of all of this that was going on. Now, for those of you who don't know, he's already pled guilty to 17 counts of murder. This trial is simply his sentencing trial. I've already talked about this, where they're trying to decide whether or not, or the jury will have to decide whether or not he is going to spend the rest of his life in jail, no option for parole, and because the state of Florida, they don't play that, or is he going to be sentenced to death with no appeals? It's like once the jury makes their decision on this situation, that's it, that's all. There's no appeals or nothing like that, because he's already pled guilty. Something that I noticed, and I spoke about this before, I'm noticing it again, where law and crime seem to be pinpointing particular people in the courtroom, or in the gallery of the courtroom. Clearly I believe there's a good, probably about 90% of the people who were packed in the courtroom today are family members of the deceased. But there was this one particular person who I felt like was playing up to the camera. I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it. It was playing up to the camera. Even while like all these other family members were sitting in the gallery and everyone was sitting straight forward, as you know, the normal way, there was this one particular man who was literally had his full body turned facing where the camera was, and really just physically almost trying to draw attention to himself in a way that just, for me as a looker on her, was just kind of like, this person is really doing too much. Even under the capacity of what was going on, it didn't seem sincere. And I think that's what was kind of like raising my eyebrow a little bit, like I didn't sense the sincerity in what this person was doing. And it made me wonder, like, does law and crime, do they know like which particular individual over in the family gallery are actually parents of any of these lost individuals? Because this one particular guy with the salt and pepper hair, like I said, he was intentionally trying to, in my opinion, attract the attention of the camera and doing things that was just very just off-putting to me, even in this very tragic hearing. If you guys know what I'm talking about, let me know. So the intensity of the testimonies that were provided today was really more so coming from those who will be forever traumatized, the survivors who were there in the classrooms, the students who, heard the gunshots, recorded the gunshots, watched their classmates and friends be murdered. Like, that's just something you don't undo. I don't care how much therapy you go through. There's never enough therapy to erase that. So their testimonies were just very heartfelt and very just like hard to watch and to listen to, because it's in that moment when you realize that these people's lives are forever changed, and every day they relive this and relive it in ways many of us could never imagine, and some of us can, and yet and still they have to come up with cameras on them in the world of social media, and where ego is very thirsty for attention, and get up in this courtroom and have to be not that far from this defendant, and speak about what they experienced on that day. It was very, very difficult to listen to and to watch. And then they had a few witnesses that came on that were like forensic video and witnesses, and they went through those testimonies really quick. The bulk of the almost 8 hours of footage that was captured, a large bulk of it, and I hope that at some point Law and Crime will edit a lot of this unnecessary footage out for those of you who catch the replay. But there's just excessive amount of time that is covered where they're doing these excessive sidebars. And in this case, they're using the COVID-19 protocol for the sidebars, where they're using headphones and mics, where they can talk through this particular system that doesn't feed into the live stream. And that was something that was implemented in several courtrooms for COVID-19. And so because reports are indicating that, the numbers are jumping up and rising up, there are people in the courtroom who are wearing masks, and they're not social distancing, but they're wearing masks, because I'm sure they're not social distancing because they all have their shots and boosters and everything. But it's interesting that the eldest attorney for the state, he ain't wearing no damn mask. He just like he don't give a damn. But so there's just this excessive amount of footage where, like, there was one particular part of footage where it's like they were on recess, and they were recording that, and then they had like almost this 20-minute sidebar. It's like, at some point, just take it off camera and come back on camera when there's actual stuff going on in the courtroom, is all I'm asking. But at the same time, I understand that they're putting a lot of time into bringing this footage to us. And, but it's just that double-edged sword. It's like, cut the fat off and, just present us the trial. But something tells me this is going to be what is to be expected of this trial. So with that being said, I'm not really sure. I think the state is still presenting witnesses tomorrow as well. And it is, as this continues to go on, this is going to become more and more just really hard to listen to. But it's an important case. While I'm never excited that these cases exist, these trials are important because, well, for me, because it does teach you, for those of you who are interested in, how courtrooms are actually, how they work, how the law works in real time, and how you get to see certain things that you don't hear about when you hear about these cases, and if you don't follow the trials, and if you're not there's some people who are like excessive court goers. They show up in courtrooms, whether it's on TV or not. They go in because you can learn a lot by being in a courtroom and just watching a lot of stuff and hearing a lot of different references to court cases and other trials that attorneys will use, and just listen to hearing certain type of verbiage and watching the loopholes the loopholes in the law. And so all of that intrigues me in a great deal. And so these particular trials are important because they have the opportunity to change laws. And once a certain verdict is handed down, other attorneys can use these particular trials as, state as references to motions for things that apply to their cases as things progress. And we could just hope that in trials like this, where unnecessary lives are taken, and this, from my opinion, this sick desire to be infamous by taking people's lives, something has to be done about it. And it goes all back into gun control, and I'm not going to get into all of that, but something should be and should have been done a long time ago, because it really plays into the psyche of these murderers who commit and plan and fantasize over these particular type of murders, and then they continually get hard-ons and adrenaline pumping to be now up in the court, and cameras are in there. There's a psyche, there's a sickness to that psyche that helps them to relive the situation. And really, they are the type that any type of publicity is good publicity in their mind. So, and they feel like they're infamous, and they get to, even in this particular defendant's case, even though he knows that whatever judgment they give him is basically like a coffin, right? He is still living while these families are mourning the loss of their children. These were children, and 3 adults, and whoever their loved ones were. I'm sure they were parents and probably husbands or whatever, but they didn't sign up for this, is what I'm saying. So I'm interested to see how the ball is going to be rolling moving forward. It's interesting, and I'll say this and I'll wrap this up. I keep hearing that this is supposed to be like a 6-month trial. I don't know why. I truly don't know why this is a 6-month trial. This defendant has already pled guilty. He's already taken on all the charges. There's 17 counts of murder, and then there's like an additional double-digit number for the people who were wounded. And I think, if my memory serves me correctly, like even people who were just emotionally and mentally affected, charges have been put up against him on that too. But the sentencing has everything to do with the 17 counts of murder. So I'm still kind of baffled as to why this is going to be 6 months. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Hopefully it won't be. I think the judge and the attorneys are really like dragging it out. Why? I have no idea. Save that portion of Florida's taxpayers' dollars for something more important than giving this defendant more airtime, more publicity, more time to feel infamous, and putting the families through more than they need to, in my opinion. So that's my take on what I witnessed today in day 1 of the actual trial for Nick Cruz's sentencing. And again, like I said, we'll see how this unravels and how it all goes down. So you guys let me know what you think about it if you're following this case down in the comments. So until next time, you guys, I'm out.